Well, there we are. Figured it out. Just had to go on a new browser. Anyway, let me. This lighting is not great. Well, I'm going to move my computer real quick. Give me 1 second, and we will get started. Audio good? Someone in the chat, let me know if my audio is good, please. See if this desk any better. That's a little better. That'll work. Great. Audio, anyone? Sweet. Thank you, Shady. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, being in Cairo, but appreciate it anyway. Thanks, guys, for joining. I've had a lot of people reach out to me over the past year, on top of especially just the last couple of weeks, especially when particularly here in the States at least, when it's come to the high school schedule that I announced just a little bit ago. A lot of people asking about high school stuff. Also, I've mentioned that we're hosting over 30 tournaments here in Utah next year. We did 24 plus a couple others that high schoolers did themselves this year. So anyway, things are booming here in Utah, and just wanted to see what I could do to, help you guys out. So please just flood the chat with questions, comments, anything you want to know in particular. I've kind of gone through, a little bit of a presentation as far as, just kind of thoughts that I've had that I'll kind of start with. Please type in any comments, any questions you've got for me as we go along, and I'll want to cover those primarily, and then work my way into my own little presentation, everything I went through. So anyway, let me try and pull up all this. Now I lost my main computer screen that I wanted. Or I had another monitor I was using, which was helpful. Anyway, okay. So I'm gonna give kind of an introduction just of myself, kind of why I've started Utah Roundnet. Hopefully the purpose of this is mostly to encourage people to do more. I know we've only got, a handful of people here. Oh, we got 8 now. That's up from the 6 we had. But I know there's a lot of people that are hoping to watch it afterwards. So yeah, let's get started. So first of all, I got my first spike ball set in 2012. I was playing for 6 years and just kind of playing every other month, maybe once a month, with friends in my backyard, on camping trips, vacations I'd take with my family. And I was always just teaching people how to play. And these were rules from back in 2012. So I never looked up tournaments, never looked up updated rules. So anyway, finally in the spring of 2018, so this is again just last year, I got tired of teaching people how to play and just playing with newbies. And so I decided, I want to play it like all the other sports I play. My first sport is hockey. You see my jersey up there, college jersey. And I just wanted to play every week. So I thought, all right, I'm going to start a league, worked with some other, local Parks and Rec department. And we started a league, and it was great. And then it's like, okay, well, no one's really doing tournaments around here. There were a couple people, and they hosted maybe a couple a year, nothing grand. And so I kind of worked into that. So we ran a league in the summer of 2018, and then planned for my first tournaments to be September of 2018. So all this time, I'm working with Christina in the ambassador program. I just kind of jumped in 2 feet first as far as getting started. I have a marketing background, so they were kind of coming out with the RRO program. And so as soon as that was announced, I applied like that same day. I can't remember if I had a website up already. I think I probably did because I was planning these tournaments. I hadn't actually hosted a tournament before Utah Roundnet became RRO approved. Kind of went backwards there, but I had the plans ahead. I had done a couple of leagues, so that was some Gasaway. I love you, Gasaway. Thank you. So I had a couple leagues I had done to kind of show history. The other guys here in Utah had done some tournaments. So anyway, that was kind of some history of how I got started. In 2018, my goal was to buy everything I needed to run tournaments and to come out even as far as financially speaking goes. So again, we ran 3 tournaments kind of throughout the state, up north in the central area and then down south. And then we did a championship invitational. That was how Utah Roundnet really was started, was 4 tournaments that we did one year. And then we did one more down in, oh, my computer's going to die. I need to get a charger. I left my charger over there. But we did then a one down in St. George, which is in southern Utah, so it was warmer. This was in November, so it's cold and snowy up here in Salt Lake. So we did one down south, and then ended up doing a Thanksgiving tournament. If you kind of follow a pattern here, I planned on 4 tournaments and ended up running more just in the first few months. Anyway, quick pause so I get my charging cable. 1 second. All right. I'm back as soon as I can plug this in. Power. Okay, cool. Okay, so anyway, so that was kind of how it got started. So in 2018, I invested about $5,000 in all the equipment that I needed, and basically hit my goal right on the nose for the end of the year to come out even. And then I was all prepped for this year, which we went gangbusters. So when I first started it was kind of a pipe dream of, okay, is this actually going to turn into a career? Like, all right, I made $5,000 running a few tournaments in my first shot. We could keep doing that. So anyway, so I planned this year. I planned on doing 4 high school tournaments and then our main 6, kind of tour series. And that was kind of what I planned for this year. Thought, okay, there'll probably be another couple in the fall of the season and whatnot. Ended up running 24 tournaments. So I had local other cities, their Parks and Rec department, reach out and say, hey, we want to do a spike ball tournament. Some of our actually the people who had been to our tournaments worked at the rec center. And so they told them about it. So anyway, I started having cities reach out to me to host tournaments for them. And that really boosted things for 2020 that I'll get to. I realized that, I made some good money. I made more money this year than I did in college. So I'm an old man. I'm 31. I've got a full-time job and a wife and kids and all that. But I made more money this year than I did working full-time as a bank teller in college. So I've been trying to encourage people, especially people who are, finishing up college or something like that, to do this, because something I regret through when going to, Father Sanford here, giving my old man advice, is I just kind of went the route of, okay, I'll get a business degree and I'll go do these boring things. My life is sports. I play sports. Before Spikeball, I played in 4 or 5 different leagues between soccer and hockey and basketball every week. And so that was my life. And so if I could have gone back, I would have done something in, sports administration, broadcasting, something like that. This has worked out because this has helped me run this business, having a business degree. Um, but anyway, that was the direction I wanted. So I'm trying to help people who are trying to figure out what they want, maybe have some time to grow the community in their area and realize this is a viable um, career potentially if you do it right. So my plans right now, my wife is in law school, and she just started, so she's got another 2.5, 3 years of doing that. Once she's done with that, my plan is to be running Utah Roundnet full time. I expect it to be grown so that it is a sustainable career by then, and plus my wife will be an attorney, which will be swell. So anyway, if I can help anybody else kind of follow it along, that would be great, just to have, just massive Roundnet communities throughout the country and the world. Thank you guys for joining from Germany, Egypt, Portugal. Love you guys. Brainstorm Roundnet. Not sure where you're from, but that's great. So, all right. So a couple things. So I want to talk. Rui. I think that's how I pronounce your name. Norway. Sweet boy. Thank you for coming here. So just started July of this year. Really small right now. Okay. That is. I probably had a little bit heads up here in Utah, just because Taylor Church. For those of you who know him, if you're in the States, you do. He'd kind of created a good little community down about 30 minutes south of where I'm at. And that was kind of the core community. They had, tournaments they were doing were between, 20 and 30 people. Again, they were just a couple times a year. And so they'd get people out. So there was a little bit of a community, but really where my goal was, I knew people played spike ball. I always, even this first year and last year, people said, "Oh yeah, I know spike ball." I had no idea this was a sport. It was a competitive sport. And that's been the biggest thing. I've literally been driving past a park, seeing kids play, and I pulled over, got out of my car, ran over to them and said, "Hey, come play in our tournaments." And they do. It's amazing of all the people that, as spike ball has grown, it is up to us as community leaders to corral them and to make a formalized community. That's the biggest thing. Obviously, there's growth and there's getting new people into it, which is kind of the second phase. The first phase of what I needed to do was corral the people who already play, get them to know that, hey, we have a did I say spike ball Gasaway? I'm pretty sure. I've been pretty good about. Oh, maybe I did. Yeah, okay, fine. But getting people who play Roundnet, and just say, hey, we have this community. We have pickup games that you can play more than just your 3 friends, because that was my life for 6 years, was playing with 3 people who didn't know what they were doing, and whatnot. So anyway, so that's kind of how I got started, where I grew. So I will hope that gives everyone inspiration that you can do the same. It starts small, and I'm going to give you some tools that I did to help grow the tournaments. All right, Shady, let's see your question. How do players not get overwhelmed with 20 plus tournaments a year when I host 2 pickup games a month and people get kind of bored? Okay, so for that, so the one, I don't know how big your pickup games are. We play, if you have more people, they won't get so bored. Because I get it, playing the same people. If you've got 4 to 8, I don't know how many nets you've got. People playing the same time, you can get kind of bored playing the same people. So you need to encourage people to invite friends and do some more outreach to mix it up. Not everyone, and rarely do we have people come and play in all of our tournaments. Certainly no one plays in all of them. There's a few of them that do play in probably half of them, so 10 plus tournaments. Most of the people, so I did a survey at the end of the year, well, not totally the end, but a couple months ago, and most people played in 2 to 4 tournaments, and that was it. And so that also helped me realize that, along with the cities reaching out to me and saying, hey, host a tournament for us, that, every tournament we get new people. It's never the same, the same group coming. Every tournament I say, hey, who here is the first tournament? And about half. There were a couple towards the end of the year that were smaller, that, there were kind of maybe more in the 25% range. But there's a lot of new people that come out because they hear about it, and with some marketing ideas, you can do that outreach. And so that's the best way to get people so they're not bored. As one, they don't have to come to 20 tournaments a year, but you get them hooked so they want to play in as much as they can, which might just be a few, um, and then you get them to play pickup games with new people. Okay, so let's see. Not something much. Okay, so Rui, as far as being a Spikeball ambassador, and I apologize, I don't know a lot about how the selling sets goes worldwide. How much Spikeball Inc. sells them, how easy it is, how much marketing they do. I don't really sell a whole lot of sets. The only time I do is when I have ambassador points, which I get a ton from all the tournaments. I sell those, and that kind of helps, bring in some extra money. But I am going to make most of my money from the tournament registration fees. So I don't. The sets are kind of a side. It helps to grow things. Get people excited. If they buy a pro set, then you know what, they're hooked and they're going to want to keep playing more. So that's a side thing. What I focus on is tournament registrations. All right. Will a tour series be a good way to start a Roundnet community? Yes. So Blake, I'm not sure if you were here when I was giving the history of what I've done. So I started my first 4 tournaments were September of 2018. I hosted three tournaments in different parts here in Utah, different locations, and then I took the top 3 teams from the advanced division and intermediate division, and we had an invitational championship. So there was an advanced championship that we had just 12 teams show up to, and then 12 teams in advance and 12 teams from intermediate that kind of played in this championship invitational. So yes, a tour series is a great way to bring everyone together, to kind of make it so that it's not just a single event that people show up, they play, like, oh, okay, that was fun, and now they have nothing else to look forward to, right? So get them hyped up, keep some rankings. I'll kind of go through some things that I have done, and this is going to go for a while. I'm already rambling on for almost 20 minutes. I hope I don't bore you guys, but okay, we're just barely getting started too. Girls are an issue as well. Okay, so David, you mentioned marketing outreach. So I'm going to start with, I'm going to get to marketing in just a minute. I'm going to start with my encouragement for anyone who is not a recognized Roundnet organization. I know we've got a lot of them here already. To be one. Okay, so RROs, they are, let's see, you know what, back up one step. Never mind, we're gonna go forward. Okay, to become an RRO, the requirements for that: you need a website, you need social media accounts, you need historical success in your community, which again, just show that you've done some things, you have a community. Ideally host at least a couple of tournaments. The big thing is to focus on the masses, not just the top players. This is something I see a lot, at least here in the States, where the top players, they host these cash tournaments to rope in these teams, and that's what it's focused on. And it's not focused on everyone else. Obviously, the top players, they're great. We need them for our communities. We need them for the sport. But they're going to come play. They're the diehards. They're going to come play just to play. We've got great top players here in Utah who they come out to these high school tournaments just to help instruct and teach, because they want the better the competition grows, the better they're going to get. So reward the top players. They do a lot, but we need to focus on the masses and make sure that beginners aren't intimidated to come out. Give them their own division. teach them, set them aside, get everyone else started on a tournament and say, hey, beginners, okay, let's go through some of these basic things and really cater to them. Give out random prizes to everyone, not just the winners. So that's a big thing, is focus on the masses. The other thing, for some of the benefits of being an RRO, again, RRO, I don't know who Ty and Riss is, but thank you, is that they are the best freaking sponsor out there, okay? It is huge to be able to use the Spikeball logo. It is huge because we all know Roundnet is not a term that the masses know, okay? So just being able to put, Utah Roundnet tournament sponsored by Spikeball, now people understand, oh, it's a Spikeball tournament, okay, in their minds. And then also they give out prizes. Spikeball sends prizes for pretty much every tournament. And you get a further discount on pro sets if you use them for tournaments. You cannot sell them at this further discount, but you do get a deep discount, $50 a set, if you're just going to use them for the tournament. So I have 40 nets, 38. Someone sold two somewhere, but 38 nets that I got for half price. Okay, so definitely some big things on the RRO. So what I want to focus on, I want to get everyone in the right mindset. I mentioned, some of the top players hosting cash tournaments and basically giving away all the prize money. That's great for them. It's not what I believe in. Call me selfish, call me a capitalist. That's fine, but it's better for the community. A profitable tournament director is a motivated tournament director. My tournaments, I would put, are on par with a tour stop. Obviously, what Nora does is far and beyond. I'm not comparing myself to her. Hosting one tour stop was actually a lot more difficult than I thought. So major props to her. Nora, if you're watching, I love you. Thank you. But I do my best to put on a product that people want and people are going to come back to. I provide water and snacks and treats. I provide prizes. I reach out to get sponsors. And I don't play in my own tournaments. This is something that is very different from what I understand a lot of places do. I do not play in my tournaments. I played in, let's see, one this year because we had to change locations from Las Vegas to St. George. There were like 9 teams that signed up. So I thought, I can do that one easily enough. I played in that one. I played in our Thanksgiving King of the Court tournament. Because everyone if you win, you move up, or King of the Hill tournament, not King of the Court. If you win, you move up, lose, you move down. Everyone could do that. I actually won that one. Good for me. And then I played in one other charity tournament. So I pretty much only played in one small one and then 2 charity tournaments. And they were both, the other one was relatively small as well. Okay. So you need to enjoy running and organizing events, not just playing in them. If you want to play in tournaments, it's going to be very difficult. If you can find someone and pay them $100 to run the tournament, great. I highly suggest that. I'm trying to do that a little bit more this year because I want to play more. But if you want to make this, your organization, really grow, be a potential career or at least a side gig, it's at least a minimum part-time job. I probably spend just as much time on Utah Roundnet as I do my full-time job, which might say more about the other job than Utah Roundnet. Anyway, the proper mindset is that you are going to create the best product out there. Let's see what's we got here. Cool. Do I think it's better to have a beginner? I do. I think it's absolutely key, especially if you're growing, Rui. Kind of starting to have a beginner division. Like I said, this past year, I actually gave beginner divisions free registration, beginners and women's teams. Women's are also, man, so difficult to get started here. Um, but I gave them free registration. This coming year, I'm going to do discounted registration simply because when people register for free, they have a tendency to not show up because they don't have any money in. So I'm going to do discounted registration, but a beginner division, at least for our bigger tournaments, is absolutely key to keep growing the market. I would say that I kind of started in two phases. Again, phase one was corralling everyone who already played. Phase two, which I'm now currently big focused on, is getting new people in. So let me go into actually, let me focus first on Spikeball Inc. and some of the tools that they have for you. Okay, number one is the Spikeball app. Oh my gosh, it is amazing. But it's only amazing if you use it and you encourage other people to use it. Okay, so put everything on the app. Put tournaments on the app as soon as you open up registration. Hopefully that's a month or two in advance. If it's more, don't do it more than 2 months. People don't think about it, but a month or two in advance, put tournaments on. Put your weekly pickup games on at least a few days in advance, if not a week. And also hold regular pickup games, same time, same place, at least once a week. Okay, Rui, you mentioned, or someone did that people get bored. It's just twice a month. If you put it on there and you tell, then like you might just get new people coming. Okay, we don't have the same. We have about right now during the winter here. We have an indoor facility. We have 30 to 40 people show up every week. It's not the same 30 to 40 people. People rotate in and out. And so just put it on the app, let people plan ahead. Okay, I know we're going to play Wednesdays at 7 p.m. every Wednesday at this location. I can just plan on it. If I have something come up, I won't be there. If I don't have anything, then I'll be there. Okay, so and then they can start planning around it ideally. So that is a huge thing. Use the Spikeball app. And then to get other people to make sure they use it, I've heard complaints, and I know there's some glitches with the app. The messages aren't the best. But at all my tournaments, I give out random prizes at the beginning of every tournament, and I only do that for people who have registered or to have RSVP'd on the app. So anytime people come, they check in, say, hey, make sure you're on the app, so that you can win some prizes. And it's in our emails. It's everywhere. But I remind them, you're not going to get any random prizes. I just pick a name that's a random name that's RSVP'd. Okay, so get people to do that. The other benefit of the app is the ambassador program. So if you're not an RRO, you'll work with Christina, who runs the Spikeball ambassador program. So you get discounts on equipment and swag, but you also get points. So the points actually add up a lot. So for every tournament that you have 32 or more RSVPs, you get 40 points per RSVP. That's $2 a person. Again, we average 35 teams per tournament for our 24 tournaments this year. That's $140 worth of Spikeball points. So I can get. I mentioned earlier that I only sell sets if I use them with the points. That's nearly 2 Spikeball sets, pro sets that I can sell just from hosting a tournament. Obviously, some of those can go into prizes as well. But anyway, so that's a big part. On top of pickup games, you get $10 10 points for every RSVP. So the ambassador program is a great. Please utilize Christina on that. The other thing is, if you are an RRO, recognized Roundnet organization, you work with Nora. So she will be the one who sends out prizes. Christina does it if you're not. Nora will send out prizes and do some of that. The other big tool, again, I've gotten a lot of questions on this past couple of weeks, is the high school program that we have here. So last year we hosted what I'm aware of is the first high school season. I know there's been high school tournaments, but an actual season. And we just did three tournaments in our state championship. Just so everyone knows, again, we started out small, especially in high school. we had 9 teams, 10 teams, and 16 teams at our first 3 high school tournaments. Okay, there's some reasons why I think it was smaller than what I expected due to schedule conflicts that we're fixing this next year. But that's where it started. Okay, so it is okay if you're starting out small. Just keep pushing and keep getting people hooked, and it will grow. Then we hosted a state championships, had 35 teams, and then our West regionals for the U.S. Season that we hosted this fall had 28 teams. So what I've done is work with Skylar. He does the high school PE program, so you can go in and teach at a high school. You get paid a little bit. It's not a lot, but it's definitely worth going. And you're playing spike balls, playing round nets. So it's great. You're getting paid to do that. Once I am doing this full time, I'm going to be doing that a lot more just for fun, really. But you go in, you just the key to your first priority when you are teaching in schools is for us to do this because they need to sell the spike ball sets to the school, and then that in turn gets players introduced, more people just introduced to the sport, and obviously then snowball effect as far as then other people buying the sport. But the secondary objective for me is going in and marketing for Utah Roundnet, letting people know, hey, we have another high school season happening in just a few months and whatnot. I also encourage, so I have a lot of high school captains here, and they run tournaments, and I show up to as many tournaments as I can. I don't make any money from that. I just go there. I typically lend them my sets. I help organize and run it as much as they want me to. And then I just hang out and help them. So definitely some things that you just gotta put in the time, put in the effort to grow to grow the community. Okay, let's see. Any other questions before I move on to my next topic? All right, so we're gonna get to marketing next, David. So that was there. Ways to gain sponsorships. Okay, so we'll get to sponsorships. It's actually very difficult and a minor part of what we do. Proven way to get girls out, Chris, man, I don't know. I do not know. We've got a few now dedicated, but it's still just a few. Like I say, offered free registration for all the tournaments this past year. We had a couple tournaments that had a full girls division, but man, that is I'm trying. So if anyone knows that, please tell me. During phase 1, yes. Okay, Rui. So did they pay to play? Yes. I am again a big advocate of profitability. One, it encourages us. Okay, we're not going to put on the best stuff unless we're getting paid at some point, right? Again, I do some things for free to help grow the community and whatnot. But I also I hate when people put tournaments on for $5 or $10 a team. Okay, my minimum I'll do pretty much is $20 minimum per team. That's $10 a person for nearly a full day event. Okay, that is so cheap. And if you do free stuff or if you do discounted stuff, if you're doing charities, like I'm cool. Like, hey, you know what? $10 a team. Let's get as many teams as we can, whatnot. But if you get people in the mindset that, hey, tournaments are going to be $5 or $10 a team, they're never going to pay more than that. And so start out at $20 or $30 a team, and whatever that compares to in various monetary transactions. But anyway, please do charge money. Get people. You have to get them in the mindset that this is valuable, this is fun, this is worthwhile. They pay. I actually did I got so upset about this past year that I did like a whole spreadsheet of how much basic, other related things are, whether it's mini golf or actual golf or a concert or a professional sporting event, or I mean all these other things. And overall, 15. I mean, the most I charge for my tournaments is $40 a team. It's $20 a person, and those tournaments are 6 hours long, 5 or 6, depending when you get eliminated. But you're at least playing for 5 hours. Okay, I mean you're paying $4 an hour. Okay, I'm sorry, but I get so irritated when people say, "Oh, that's so much money." And in Utah, they don't anymore. I mentioned the survey earlier. There were only a couple, a very, very minimal amount of people who mentioned that one of the reasons they didn't play in more tournaments was due to cost. Okay, so anyway, there's my rant on paying to play. Women's tournaments. I don't know. I don't know what the struggle with women's players is. Um, I really don't. We've even got some good ones here, and they come. We've got we had a full net of women's at our pickup this last week, which again is only 4 out of 30. Um, I don't know. It boggles my mind. I think they might just get intimidated. Um, okay, Portugal is not recognized ambassador. Oh, program doesn't exist in Europe, huh? All right. Well, maybe talk with Tom Rogers. He runs EU SRA. I don't know what that is, but just get registered or just get recognized then. Put in that application, get everything you need. And I know they're pushing for countries, especially countries, because they need them for Worlds and for Olympics. I mean, that's the goal, is to get to 44 countries, I think. Okay. All right, lower price. Again, the mastery program, that's really a minimal part of what I do. The lower price on sets, that's really the key to it. Oh, Roundnet Norway. Sorry, I'm reading down. Norway says you can be an ambassador. Okay. Okay. So, all right, David, I'm getting now we're to you and your marketing. This is the core. So thank you for forcing me on track here. Okay. So the basic marketing strategies. First thing is club leaders. Okay. So this is what David just asked about. Clubs, how are they set up and work? Okay. If you go to utahroundnet.com/clubs or utahroundnet.com/high-school-clubs, you'll see our clubs. We have, I think, latest count is 8, just like adult, all ages clubs throughout the state, and then 29 high school captains. I don't think they're all updated on the website. But the key to those is communication. So you are the central part of your wherever all of you are. Okay. So here in Utah, I run Utah Roundnet. Then I have all these different cogs off of it that are helping me. I don't want to be sending out text to 1,000 people that played in our tournaments this year. I literally cannot. I do have emails and I work through that. But as far as like the best marketing is in-person marketing. It's face-to-face and it's with a friend. Okay, so if you can have club leaders that they, tell them that, hey, you need to set up a weekly time and place that all, weather permitting, that your community knows they can count on to play. So we have Provo. I kind of run the south end of Salt Lake Valley. We have different universities. We have one that's up north, or 2 that are up north, one down in St. George. So probably have more than 8. But anyway, so each area, I can't run a pickup game everywhere. I would love to show up and be to as many as I can. I try to do that. I try to just support them and show up when I can. But I can't run them all. So you need to have these club leaders that run a pickup game and get people on the Spikeball app. And then more people just invite friends, and those clubs grow. And again, people rotate. Not everyone shows up every week. Hey, it rotates through. That's okay. And it can start out. A club can start as few as 8 people. Okay, that's 2 nets going. People can mix it up. Swap out partners and swap out teams. And clubs work great that way. Hopefully they grow. The big thing on club leaders is you got to get other people who are motivated. This is the hardest thing, especially with high school club leaders. There were a couple that, in the spring I had set up. We do like a captain's chat. So I send them any information. Like today I sent out, hey, just so you guys all know, you know, tournament rules changed, a few changes for this next year. Be aware of them and spread this out to everyone who plays with you so they know. Um, and so just kind of keep that communication open. But again, you're going to get club leaders who just like stop doing stuff. And honestly, I remove them from the list if they do. It kind of sucks. You're like, now I'm going backwards, but it's better than having someone who's there. You've got a listed and now no one does anything. Because then someone, um, in St. George goes on my website, looks, oh, there's clubs. Oh, there's a St. George club. And then like reaches out to that person. They're not doing anything. And they think, oh, okay, well, the whole thing is just dead. So now that ruins everyone coming in. So you got to get motivated club leaders that you can trust. Other parts of marketing, obviously you have your traditional digital marketing. I have a background in this. I'm not going to get into like how to build a website and how to use marketing techniques, but have a good website. It really is key. Have a good registration portal. That is a big thing. The first year I just used like Google Forms and then I had people Venmo me money. And I just never felt good about it because it doesn't make me look official. I know in a smaller community, everyone gets it. But I knew this year I wanted new people to come in, and people who don't know me and don't trust me, they're not just going to Venmo me money. Okay. So I use Red Podium. That's what Spikeball uses. That's what a ton of people use. If you want to do that, actually, please let me know. I'll send you a link. I get a little kickback. Better than no one getting a kickback. So I use Red Podium to sign up. So it's all official. It can take credit cards, all that. I use emails and a text messaging service. I just started text messaging just 3 weeks ago when we announced our schedules, our first schedule. That's going to be a big thing because people read text messages more than emails. Obviously, social media. I do paid marketing on both Facebook and Instagram. Honestly, Instagram's the bigger tool, especially now these days. Young people, high schoolers, college kids, they're just not on Facebook like my generation. And so a lot of it's Instagram, but paid marketing really helps a lot. And I'm not going to get into how to do it, but I got it down to like 17 cents a click. So for every person who clicked over to our website, it cost me 17 cents. And, it could take 20 people to click over and then they actually sign up, and I'm still making money and I'm finding new people. Again, you've also got to realize that you're not just marketing for one tournament. If someone comes to your tournament, they're going to come to more tournaments. Okay, so kind of have that mindset that this is a long-term thing that you're doing. And then I mentioned the number one tool for marketing is the Spikeball app. It just really is. All right, let's see. All right, good. Shady gets all the ambassadors during phase one. Rui. So I actually did really well. And I know this isn't maybe typical. So last year, my tournaments had 32 teams. My first tournament had 32 teams. This was in a college town, but it's an isolated college town. So we actually went back for this year and didn't do nearly as well. But anyway, so 32 teams. My second one was in Salt Lake City, so it was the capital of Utah. We had 43 teams, and then the third one had 63 teams. That was in Provo. That's kind of the big mecca here in Utah, is Provo. You got 2 universities there, and that's kind of where that main community was when I started up. So the average this year, and obviously as you do more tournaments, they're not as special. So people like last year was like, oh, these are tournaments. We have to get there because we don't know when the next one's going to be, right? And so you got to account that as you do more tournaments, you need just a bigger community. You can't just have the same 30 teams coming out to every tournament. But it will grow. You'll get new people. But that was phase one. And pretty much, I'm at the point, if a tournament's less than 20 teams, for me, that's a failure. Unless it's like a specialized event, like getting high school started out. But that's me. I'm not saying that is a failure for everyone because everyone's starting at different places. After last year, I don't know. I maybe got lucky coming into Utah. It was a great culture. culture for Roundnet and Spikeball, but it boomed, and so now I'm disappointed if it's less. So you mentioned, David, you asked about sponsors. So sponsors for cash, I've given up, honestly. I've done a couple of things, that I'm kind of doing for trade, with Spikeball, doing a couple of things that they're giving me basically ambassador points. Doesn't cost them cash, but I get to then buy Spikeball sets and sell them. So for me, it's all the same. For them, they get to give a product. Cathedral Brand, this awesome shirt. Go check them out, cathedralbrand.com. Kind of did the same thing. They just gave me a box of shirts for me to sell for something. Roundnet is such a niche that it's so hard. I mean, you think like, okay, these companies, they're spending marketing dollars and they're spending it to reach out to thousands of people. A big Roundnet tournament is, with 200 teams, reaches 400 people. It's just not, honestly, I get it from a business standpoint, it's just not worth it. So I focus on sponsors to give prizes. At this point, I want, one, it reduced my cost of having to buy prizes, but also they don't have to, it makes for a better experience for my attendees. I'm focused on their on their experience. And so if, especially the top teams who keep winning, they want a variety. They have all the Spikeball gear at this point. So just trying to get other sponsors, local businesses, whether it's golf passes or, if you have like a, not arcade, but, anyway, just different things where it's like, oh, yeah, give me a gift card. Gift card is great. I'll give it to them. They have to come in. They have to spend more money. Businesses are much more open about doing that. Even restaurants will do that. So that's pretty much all I do with sponsors at this point. It's all about prizes to make it a better experience for the players. The one thing I did just the last 2 days, coordinated, which is something. So, and as you grow, you kind of got to be sustained to start doing this. But think outside the box. I don't know if anyone's familiar with Get Out Pass. Get Out Pass. They're popping up across the U.S. at least. I think they're in like 10 different major cities, and it's like $100 for a pass, and they someone buys that, and then they get like one entrance to an aquarium or golf course or whatever it is. You get one entry. So it's basically it's free, at least for Get Out Pass. It's a free marketing platform for me, and all I have to give up is give someone a free registration, which is probably the people that are coming in are going to be new people. So I'm not going to get their registration anyway if they don't know who I am, know about me and my tournaments. So I'm going to give them one free registration, get them hooked, and have them keep coming back. Other things so with that, and really how easy it was to get connected with them, is I'm also going to start looking into like Groupon. I don't know if some of these platforms where it's just there's a lot of coupon based websites out there that it's kind of marketing. It's just, and I don't know how Groupon works. I think I probably have to get they get a percentage of the sale, but they advertise events. So look for newspapers, not like the actual papers, but like their now online website. They'll generally have events, and so you can go just put your event on there. It might get a couple of people, that see it, but hey, it's a couple of people. So just try and plaster your events as much as you can everywhere. Different channels will get different things, so kind of think outside the box from there. All right, let's see. Your clubs, or these people are paying to be part of. Oh, so David, no, I don't. As far as the club mentality, I don't really understand. I don't really get it, honestly. It doesn't connect in my mind. Like Origin Roundnet, they have club dues. I don't understand the point. I think if people want to just come play pickup, I'm going to let them come play pickup. I'm going to get them hooked. I'm going to get them in our community and have them be friends. Um, like all of us, like we're all like best friends. Again, we have like 30 or 40 people come out. Probably 20 of us are this, show up every week, and like we go get midnight, whatever meal you want to call it, a midnight snack at McDonald's because it's the only place that's open. And that's my favorite part of the night is hanging out with those guys for an hour. Um, no, I do not charge for a price to be part of a club. Um, I'm catering to the masses. Some beginner or intermediate player who is like, oh, I like playing with my friends. Oh, I've got to pay $10 to be part of this club. I don't understand that. Um, I don't get it. I cater to the masses. I invite everyone I can to come and play. The only fee we do is this indoor place that we have. It's where Real Salt Lake, a professional soccer team here, it's their indoor training facility, and they give us a huge discount already. But we still have to pay $60 an hour to rent half of a field. It's the nicest turf ever. So we do split that, and everyone pays $6 during the winters. But when we're outside, like no, I don't charge a thing. The only time they have to pay me is if they want to play in a tournament, because it's more organized. I have to put in a lot of work, and it's worth it. All right. Text service I use. Text a quick question. That is, let me go to it. It's called Text Magic. I did a lot of just research on different. There's so many platforms out there. I did Textedly at one point, and then like I sent out 2 texts, and then 2 days later I went back to check on like, oh, how many got opened, and their system crashed and no one told me. So stopped using them. They're pretty affordable. But Text Magic, it's $4 per text. I started collecting phone numbers halfway through this last season. Before that, it was just emails. So I've got about 1,000 emails. And right now about just under 400 texts. And texts obviously work way better. So to send it out to my whole one text to my whole group right now is $14. So I'm not going to do it a whole lot. I'll probably do it once a month, the beginning of the month, and just say, hey, here, check out, all the tournaments we have going on over this next month. But yeah, so Text Magic is what that platform's called. Tournaments get 10 teams. 10 teams is solid, really. Just okay. Yeah, an annual fee. Again, I don't necessarily understand. It doesn't connect in my brain. Other people it does. So that's a decision for you to make. Again, if your tournaments are good tournaments, you're providing prizes. And I don't know kind of what the the financial demographic is where you're at, but again, like I say, my whole thing is people can't pay $10 a person for a fun full day event. Again, I don't know how that correlates to other events in your area. Like we have Utah, I think the whole U.S. There's just a ton of 5Ks and 10Ks and half marathons that happen. These things cost anywhere from $20 to $150 a person. There are some steep prices that some people are paying for events. And that's kind of what I'm basing it on. Like a Roundnet tournament is cheap, relatively speaking. Cool, you bet, David. Glad this helps. Let's see, a couple. Yeah, absolutely. Alberta, you've definitely got people. Really, the level of play, it might be really bad, but relatively speaking, everyone's the same amount of badness. So the competition is good. If you've got 3 people who are just amazing and then everyone else is terrible, yeah, I get it. But trying to meet in the middle there somewhere, where everyone's at least somewhat competitive. And at this point, for our big tournaments that we're getting 50 to 70 people out for, or 50 to 70 teams out for, I have anywhere from 4 to 6 divisions. So we do this year at all of our tournaments, there's at least going to be 3: beginner, intermediate, and advanced. And then we'll have co-ed, women's, and high school. The co-ed, women's, and high school are the 3 that, I say, you've got to have at least, I think I did 6 teams. to play. Otherwise, we'll have to merge you. So we'll see how those go. But you know, if you can get to 20 teams, you can at least, I mean, that's at least two divisions, if not three. You could do 6-team divisions, a full double elimination. That's a fun time. And again, I stick with, I don't know, again, worldwide what you do. I stick with how Spikeball does their tournament brackets, where you do pool play in the morning. So you're playing for an hour and a half. You take a little break to put together the brackets, and then you're playing. You at least, same thing. Like, I mean, whether it's a full double elimination or a consolation bracket, you're getting at least 2 more best 2 out of 3 matches. So I mean, you're playing for at least another hour and a half, if you go out as fast as you can. So a total of 3 to 4 hours. Like, I think it's great. 4 teams on average. Okay, well, so here's the thing. So people that are starting, again, we have our pickup games, especially the high schoolers. High schoolers around here, they're bad. A lot of them, because they started this year too. And 2 pools of 5, that's perfect. Okay, but so when I play pickup here, like I like to play, you know, with the higher level guys. But all of us higher level guys, we go play a game with people who are just learning, and we teach them, and we say, hey, oh, you should do this and do this. So you gotta make sure you're including everyone, and then they're gonna keep coming back, and they get better. I mean, I think we all, I don't know if we all do, but I know of 2 people here in Utah that over the last year, not within a year's time frame in the past 2 years, one of them went from an intermediate player playing in his first tournament ever to being a pro player by the end of the season. So this was Spencer Schmidt in 2018. Okay, so he played an intermediate at the beginning of the year. By the end, he was in the pro division with Taylor Church. Well, then also another guy here, he just got back from a church mission, came back, heard about it. He kind of came to our first leagues. His family was like a big part of like the first, when I started everything. And he is shooting for pro this year. He made premier within a year's time frame. So people can get good fast. It doesn't take long. It just takes them to be included and encouraged to do better. So so as far as, so here's one thing, Rui. I have everyone go to bracket play. Don't say, okay, if you do bad in pools, then your day is over. We had one tournament here before I started. I kind of went to it as a city. They did a July 4th tournament. I kind of did it for research, like, okay, what's out here? And they did the same thing where they did pools of 5, and then only 2 teams went through. And like, I got put together. I mean, I was just starting, so I wasn't great. That was all right. And I got paired in with a division that had a pool that had three teams that were probably going to go, you know, it could be really good. And only 2 teams went. And I wasn't one of those 3. So I was number 4 in that bracket. My day was over after 30 minutes. It was like, oh, okay, that's fun. A lot of people walked away, you know, upset. So again, you don't want to just benefit, just reward the best teams that do really well. You want everyone to play. You want everyone to have a good time, and then encourage them to stick around for the finals. You know, if you can get people to extend throughout the day, and they're playing, like, oh, cool. You know, I have people play for a 17th place. If they get knocked out in the first round, and there's, you know, between 17 and 32 teams, they play for a 17th place championship. And I call it that. I say, you're in the 17th, you're in the 9th place championship, 5th. Like, I get them excited, and like, yeah, we're all laughing about it. They know it's not a championship, but it's something to play for. Let people just play. Like, there's no reason to send people home early, you know, because they lost. So anyway, just encourage everyone to play, to get better, and invite them in. Okay. So now we're kind of getting into kind of the second phase. So once that's kind of getting it started out, playing stay king of the P. I don't know what P is, but probably the same thing, king of the hill. So yeah, that's cool. But again, I mean, just if they're actually participating in the tournament, king of the part, same. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. If they're participating in the tournament still, it's a little bit more than, hey, stick around and keep playing. Like, people at that point, like, I'm out. Like, I don't have to stay. I've had a little bit of fun. I'll go. Um, so I mean, it's good, but I would say the better thing to do would keep them in the bracket as much as I can. Okay, so once you kind of have a sustained model, even if you've just done a few tournaments, you're getting good participation out. I work with, and again, I don't know how this works worldwide, but here in the States, nearly every city they've got a Parks and Rec department where they put together soccer leagues and basketball leagues and flag football and all that. And because Spike Roundnet, I heat gas away, because Roundnet is so big here now because of everything we've done, all these Parks and Rec departments are saying, "Oh man, we want to do this, but we can't buy, 20 pro sets um, for a one-time tournament, maybe two-time tournament a year." It just doesn't make sense for them. And honestly, um, we've had Parks and Rec departments do it on their own. They tried this past year and it didn't work. Um, for my benefit, at least, whether or not it's good for the community, but I've kind of got a monopoly on it. If people see that there's a tournament going on that Utah Roundnet's not hosting, they don't show up, which is good for me. So anyway, so I've just working with the Parks and Rec department. So I sent out an email probably September, October, and said, "Hey, I'm planning for 2020." This is one thing I learned the hard way this past year was Parks and Rec. You've got to plan ahead. I have 30 plus tournaments set in stone, everything for this next year. I had no idea I had to plan that far ahead. So anyway, plan ahead, start reaching out months and months in advance and say, "Hey, so again, if you want to take notes, go to utahroundnet.com/parks-and-rec. It's also at the top right. It's on our navigation. So the Parks and Rec page. And that's kind of what I have presented to a lot of the cities. There's some of them that they didn't buy it. They said, we want a bigger cut, of the money." And essentially I said, "Well, all right, I'll go somewhere else because there's so many others that want me to host a tournament for them." So I've also gone to a couple, Parks and Rec Association meetings and kind of presented to them. So anyway, lots of things you can do to kind of get in with the Parks and Rec departments and just negotiate something that works for you. Like I say, some of them wanted a 70-30 split. I said no because I can rent a field for cheaper than that. If you can't, then that works and that's great. The most I will ever do is a 90-10 split. And because if I'm bringing in $1,000 a tournament, which for my big tournaments, that's low. 10% is $100 and I can rent a field for $100. So, well, the benefits of working with the Parks and Rec department is one, they provide a field rental. Okay, that was kind of my first thing. Like, all right, I'm sick of having to pay to reserve parks. So if you can get it to just say, "Hey, I show up, it's free to the city. They don't have to pay me anything, and I set up, I run the tournament, I take registrations. You don't have to do anything. All you have to do is tell your community, 'Hey, we have a spike ball tournament coming. Go sign up.' They look like heroes because they're providing a new event for their community, and they don't have to do anything." So that's kind of what I presented to them. The other thing is, again, it markets to the masses. I am so excited this year to see how many new players we get from their marketing. The cities have a bigger marketing pool than I have. So they're sending out emails, they send out flyers, they send out all these things. And so I'm hoping to get a lot of new players into my bucket. And again, then they just keep coming back and our tournaments grow. So I would suggest work with the Parks and Rec departments. Once you're sustained, if you have all the sets, that's something I did. I started out, with 20 sets for last year, which got me through some of the tournaments. I had to buy more with our 63 team tournament, and then I, increased up to 40 nets this year. So if you have that, that's an asset to the cities. Okay, so the last thing I think I've got covered, we still got 8 people. Good for us. All right, this is high school. So I've touched on this a little bit already, and the big question I've gotten the last 2 weeks is how do you build up high schools? Again, it starts small. It's really hard. Kids these days are flaky. It's can get disappointing at times, but push through it. Again, mentioned Skylar with the PE program. Uh, but honestly, that is kind of a supplement. I realized that I did that last year before I had like school captains, and it didn't really help at all. Like I told people about it, but then like they didn't know where to go. Okay, so I'm in this PE class, I'm like, oh, this is awesome. We're playing. By the way, we're gonna have state championships next year and everything. But like then it just kind of like fell on deaf ears. It's like, okay, well, they're out. They don't know where to go. So what I focused on this last spring and summer was getting high school captains. So same thing with the clubs is you have a leader and they are responsible for having regular pickup games and for getting all the information out to their school and all the people that they play with, and have them use the Spikeball app. And so those are the biggest things. I have a captain's chat, so a text message thread that I just kind of keep them updated. Say, oh, by the way, here's our schedule. Oh, today sent out again. Here's some updated rules. Make sure all your people know everything that Spikeball just came out with. And on the best days, I encourage a little bit of trash talk. Like the high schools have such a potential because they have such school spirit. We've got the kind of the two top schools that they went at it at our U.S. West Regionals tournament, and I mean they're friendly, but I mean there's a rivalry, you can tell, and the ones are just itching to be able to take down the team that beat them in 3 games in the championship. Okay, so yo Ash, what's up? So anyway, yeah, so you need to have that communication, build up that school spirit, and uh, have those captains. Um, how I kind of first started with the captains was I had my other tournaments going on, and anytime someone looked young, I'm like, hey, where are you from? And they tell me the city. I'm like, are you in high school or college? And if they were in high school, oh man, I took their name down. And I said, I'm going to reach out to you. We need a captain at your school. Um, and uh, and that was kind of how I first built up these captains. Once I had like a little bit of a pool, I'd throw it out on social media and say, hey, look at all these schools we've got, club captains. If your school isn't listed, DM us. And every time I do that, I get a couple more schools going. So that's a huge thing. Building up the high schools is get those captains, and then every once in a while, just throw it out. Say, hey, are there any schools we're missing? Um, and hopefully get that. The other thing you've got to do is you have to have high school specific events. Um, you can do a high school division at a tournament. Once you're big enough, you can do a high school division, but high schoolers get intimidated. And honestly, like again, that doesn't really build their school spirit. We have if you can do a high school tournament specifically, and you've already got captains, they're going to go out there and they're going to want to take down the other schools. Okay, so you got to at least have some events to have the captains excited for and recruit their classmates to come out. High schooler, yes, you can't teach PE lessons as a high schooler. At least through the Spikeball PE program, Skylar, you have to be out of high school to do that. But I mean, depending on what it's like, are you from Egypt? Was that where you are? Yes, Cairo. Okay. So yeah, Shady. So I don't know how it works over there. But you can still, I mean, if you're better at Spikeball than other people, Roundnet, if you're better, then you can teach people. It's just if the schools allow you to go in and do that. So that's the hard thing. But yeah, anyone can teach people how to play. There's a spot the Spikeball has the new rule change. There was let me pull up. I just had the link open. Jack put out, it's on the Spikeball Ambassador, or sorry, Spikeball Roundnet Association Facebook group. He put a too long didn't read version, so there it is. So that is the too long didn't read version. It's got the links for the full rules with highlights for what was changed that you can dig into it. But there is the new rule changes. Anyway, that is kind of what I went through. That went a lot longer than I thought. So hope I didn't bore you guys. Hope I didn't ramble. We still got 9 people. So I guess it was helpful. Any other last questions before we round up then? Let me scroll through, see if I missed anything. Here's one thing that I'll touch on. If again, I have a marketing background. I've kind of done this as little time as I already have. If you just like want to do what we've done here in Utah around that, build up a business, but you don't know how to do things. You don't know how to build a website. You don't know how to do paid marketing. You don't know how to do graphic design to create good graphics. And by the way, that's just, I mean, I look at some of the stuff I started with last year on my graphics, and man, they were trash. And I'm sure real graphic designers still say what I think is trash, but I think they're pretty good at this point. But anyway, if you want to partner and you want to start up an RRO and you've got ambition, reach out to me. I'm open to partnerships. Again, this is going to be my future. And if you want to go in on something, you need help. Reach out. We'll create a partnership and split up some responsibilities. Some things I can do remotely, some things I can help with, and go in on an RRO together. So hit me up. I'm open to that. Let's see. Here we go. Yeah, that makes sense, Shady. How does Utah keep track of the rankings? Oh, okay. That just a spreadsheet, and it's super tedious. And I'm sure there's a better way out there that I just don't know of, or you have to pay for it. I just do. So if you go to, you know what? I deleted last year's. If you go to utahroundnet.com/spikeball-tournaments, so that's our main 9 tournaments that we're going to have rankings and everything. If you scroll down, you'll see player rankings. It's all blank right now, obviously. But that's what I do. And so I just put in, so as a tournament happens, I put in the top 16 teams and all their names. It's tedious, like I say. I put in their names, and then I just have the point associated for whatever place they took in that tournament. And then I just have, like Rui mentioned, use Excel. It's just an Excel spreadsheet. You do calculations. That's what I do. I know Spikeball, they've got they've got, their ranking systems that depreciate points and everything. And so I think it's Logan who has kind of done that. And he kind of has that whole, from what I've seen from the outsider perspective, I think he has a whole data mindset that he's really good at that stuff. I just use a basic Excel document. So, all right. Well, if that is it, I will head out from here. Feel free to reach out to me, Instagram, email, whatever you want. And I am here to help. So thank you all very much. And here we go. Determine how many points for each place. I actually took something off of Rocky Mountain Roundnet out of Colorado. They had a point system. They did. I mimicked it. I changed it up a little bit. It's just kind of whatever you want to do. It's just make it. Last year I had the first place be I got a lot bigger of a point gap between first and second place, and then I realized that kind of takes the fun out of it, because now people can take first a couple of times. They've got a huge lead and people get discouraged. So I actually brought that down, made it harder to get a big lead. Try and make some more competitive overall, keep people motivated. Let's see. The moment a team has 6 results, the lowest is not part of the end result. Yeah, that's for the so I don't do my rankings like Spikeball does. I still count it through all my tournaments. I'm not doing just like a top 5. Yeah, you can look at, David, look at what we do, and I outline our whole point system on that page I mentioned. Here, I'll type it out right now. I didn't realize I could have done this earlier as I'm just talking what the URLs are / tournaments. So that's got that. You bet. Thank you for joining, Shady. Thank you, Roundnet Panama. Anyway, yeah. Anything else? Reach out, and thank you all for joining.